Hi folks, Jason here and welcome to another video tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to turn flat 2D images into a living 3D environment using some simple but powerful modifiers. As you can see, I've created this entire scene almost entirely from 2D images. We're moving beyond just flat textures, we're creating actual depth, shadows, and physical presence. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. We'll be using depth maps to drive displacement, stacking subdivision modifiers for detail, and tweaking our shaders with bump nodes to make the textures really pop. Whether you're using photos I've provided or your own custom artwork, by the end of this, you'll have the skills to build a 3D world out of any 2D image. Okay, before we dive into the full process, I wanted to give you a quick behind the scenes look at how the environment was actually created. As you can see here in the viewport, the scene is essentially built from simple image planes which have been subdivided. I've used depth maps paired with the displacement modifier to pull out that 3D geometry and then dialed in a bump node in the shaders to give the stone that final gritty edge. To hide where the displacement ends at the top of the wall, I placed some very low poly models using the same wall textures to mask those edges and keep the silhouette looking natural. Throw in a little atmospheric lighting and our character, who comes from Mixamo, and the scene really comes to life. I've left the Blender file, all the image textures, and the character link in the description below so you can follow along or explore the scene yourself. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so I've taken the liberty of just preparing the file for you, so it makes it a little bit less hassle. I've created the planes already. If you want to create your own planes, that's absolutely fine. One thing I didn't mention in the intro was there is a site where you can create depth maps. If I just bring this into the screen now, you'll see it's called Depth Anything V2, and you can basically drag and drop your images. So just to give you an example, if I were to go and click on here, bring in, say, something like this, go open, and essentially what it does is it breaks it down. If I go and compute the depth, you'll see it kind of creates almost like a heat map. But what you can do is once it's done that, you can go to the grayscale depth map and download it from there, and then you'll have what's in the file. So I just thought I'd show you that before we get going. So we've got our potential scene here, and we're going to start off by creating this little archway. And what I do here is just basically going to echo with every single plane here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go into edit mode. I'm going to hit the tab. I'm going to go right click, subdivide, and then in the little tab down here where it says subdivide, I'm going to make that 100. You'll see there now it'll turn bright orange. And then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit tab again, take it back into the object mode. I'm going to go over to the modifiers. I'm going to add a modifier. And what we're going to add is displacement. You'll find that under deform. Go to displace. You want to click on new, and then these little tabs here, click on those, and then where it says image, go to open. And what you're going to do is locate the first depth map. So you'll see here, it's the fifth one along. And I'm going to go and open that. And you can see there already, it's kind of created this depth map for our plane. I'm going to go back to the modifiers now. And next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another modifier. And this time, I'm going to add a subdivision surface. I'm going to increase that to 3. And then I'm going to add another modifier, go back to deform, and this time it's going to be smooth corrective. And also it's important just to drag that up to the top. I'm going to change this to 10 and make sure it's clicked on only smooth. So we can see there now it's starting to take shape, but we don't really have much detail. So this is where we come over to the shading. So I'm going to go to the shading here, And first of all, I'm going to go and click on New. And from there, if you just zoom out a little bit, I'm going to drag off from where it says base color. And what we want is image texture. Now you can see it's at the top of my list, but I'm just going to type it in anyway. And it's image texture color. And there's no color at the moment, so I'm going to go open, and this is where we need the image. So you'll find the image here, and it's number 1. Click on that there, and go open image. You see that it's placed it there for us, which is great. However, we've still got a bit of an issue going on here with the, we've got like a black color that should be transparent. Really simple fix. All we do is from the image, we drag out from the alpha to the alpha in the principled BSDF. And voila, it disappears. So there we go. Now you can sort of adjust the depth at this stage because the modifiers are still live. If I go back through to layout, if you wanted to kind of have a play around them, you can do. If we go through to say here, you can kind of push and pull these out as much as you want. I think that's pretty much where it was. I think it's pretty much where you want it, but you can do some more if you like. All right, so it's looking all right, but it's not looking super detailed when you kind of zoom in. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a bump to this. So I'm going to go back through to the shading. And from here, I'm going to click on the material there. I'm going to press Shift and D and bring that down. Now, this bit is really important. Just so our bump doesn't interfere with the image, we need to separate them. So you see here, if I zoom in, where it says 2, I want you to click on that, just to click, and basically it breaks the connection between the two of them. And also where it says color space, we need to change that to non-color. So click on the little arrow and go to non-color. There we go. I'm going to connect the color up now to the normal. Still not much of a difference, but what we need to do is need to drag a bump in there. So I'm going to go Shift and A, and go search, and you see it's at the top of my list there. I'll just type it in anyway. Bump, there it is. Click on that. I'm going to drag and drop that onto my line. We want it on the height, so I'm going to drag it from the normal to the height. And you should see now, it should be sort of starting to sort of take shape. Now at the moment, again, not seeing a lot of detail. So what we're going to do is just increase the distance on that and the strength. Just a little bit. You can sort of tweak these a little bit more, down a little bit. I think that's roughly where I had it in the intro to the video. And I think that's not looking too bad. If you want to check it, you can do by going to layout, and let's just set up some rudimentary lights. So if I go and click on the end viewport shading here, there's nothing there at the moment. So I'm going to go Shift and A, go through to light and point light, and you'll see that if I now just drag that out a little bit and up, and maybe if I go down to the light there, at the moment, what's it set at? Power is about 10. We'll maybe increase that to about 100, and just add a slight yellow to that light. And you'll see there now, if I move that around, that's working really nicely, or perhaps I've just hit G. That might be a bit more dramatic. There we go. You can see that. So that's really taken effect already. You know, it's a nice little piece. And of course, you can play around with this a little bit more. You can take the normal down a little bit more if it's a bit too harsh. So if I, like, say, go to the shading and also go into that view there, just click on that. Like I say, you can sort of play around. If I just zoom in, if it's a little bit too harsh, you can sort of take it down a little bit, but I think that's not looking too bad myself. Okay, so with that done, I think that's a pretty good start so far. We're ready to move on to the next part of the wall, and this is what we're going to integrate into the actual archway here. So I'm going to go back just into the material view there. And essentially, we're going to do the same again. I'm going to go and click on that plane now. So just like before, I'm going to hit the Tab key, right-click, subdivide, 100, and then go back to the object mode. And then just like before, go to the modifiers, add modifier, and we're going to go to displace, new, hit these little tabs here, open, and this time round it's going to be this bit of wall here. So I'm going to click on that, open image. You see that it's already created it. Go back to the modifiers, add modifier. We're going to add the subdivision surface, change that to 3, just like before. And the same thing again, go to deform. We want to smooth corrective, drag that to the top, change that to 10, and only smooth there like so. And then through to the shader. And from there, we'll go to the side here, and we're going to add a new principal BSDF. Move that up a little bit. Again, image texture. Open. Find our image, which is there. Go open image. And we're also going to put the alpha to the alpha. So it's transparent. And we're going to add a bit of a bump to that. So I'm going to go Shift D. And remember, as before, we're going to click on that 2 just so it breaks the connection. Change that also to non-color. And from there, I'm going to drag the color to the normal. And then from there, if I just zoom out a little bit, I'm going to go Shift and A, search, and this time we need the bump. Drop that in there, make sure it's in the height. And again, you can play around with the strength or the distance to say something like, I think it's probably pretty much the first one, I think. Something like that. I think you can key in the numbers a bit more if you want to kind of reduce it a bit more, but that looks okay to me. So let's just go back into the layout view, and that's not looking too bad, if I do say so. And again, you can have a look in the lit view as well. We don't have any lights on there at the moment, but I can maybe just copy that light, go Shift D and bring that over. And you see that's working really nicely. Not too bad. All right. So we've got that bit set up. And again, just like before, if you wanted to kind of play around in the modifiers with the strength, you can do, you can kind of push and pull it a little bit more. But I think that's generally looking all right. Okay. Right. And now we can do the same on the other side as well. We could, in effect, just use this same plane again. So all we could do here is, instead of actually going through the whole thing again, we could technically just go and delete that and just literally copy that. And then we can rotate it like so, do it by hand, or just do it, key the numbers in. And we're going to move that over to say something like this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sort of maneuver these parts in. So at the moment, they're not kind of meshing too well, but we can have a play around with them. So for example, that's not looking too bad. And with here, we could sort of mesh those together, have a play around that way. Before we get into the nitty-gritties though, let's also have a look at the floor. So let's do the same thing with the floor, or with the road, or whatever you want to call it. Right click, go into edit mode, right click, subdivide. Again, make that 100. And then we go into the modifiers after hitting tab to go back into object mode. Add modifier. We're going to add a displace, new. Hit the tabs here on the side, go open, and then we'll find our little depth map. Click open image. See there. We're going to go back to the modifiers, add modifier, and this time we're going to add a subdivision surface again, just like before. Oops, not too many. 3. There we go. And we're going to add another one. This time it's going to be the smooth corrective. Drag that to the top. Change repeat to 10. And only smooth. And again, I'm fairly happy with that. I'm going to go through to the shading now. Add new. So let's just get a view of that before we get started. So there we are. And from there, I'm going to drag out from the base color, image texture, open. We'll go and find our little bit of road. Click open. Connect alpha to alpha, which is great. And also what we're going to do is we're going to copy this, Shift D. Remember to click on 2 to break the connection. Go from color to normal. And then Shift A, search, go bump, drag that on there. Make sure it's in height, not normal. And again, you can play around if we just zoom in there a little bit. We can play around with the distance. I think that's generally going to be all right, something like that. And then I'm going to go back through to layout now. And then we can drag this in place. So something like so. You can also still play around with it as long as it's not going to look too stretched. You can sort of modify it that way if you like. And bring that up. And we've got it at a little bit of a sort of a slant, which is not actually a bad thing. It kind of gives it a bit of a sort of like it's on a bit of a slope, which I think is pretty good. We can mess around with this though, and I'll show you how in a minute. But at the moment, it's looking okay. It's looking good, but needs a little bit of a bit of a play around with it. So in order to do that, we're going to need to go into the sculpt mode. But before we do that, I want to apply all of the modifiers. So I'm going to go and apply, as soon as you're happy with it. Apply, apply. Do the same thing with these as well. You can apply those. Same thing with the door. Apply that. Make sure you do it from the top down as well. Okay. Now, a good thing as well, before we get into the sculpting, is to just apply all the transforms. So go to Object, Apply all transforms. Same thing with this one. Object, Apply all transforms. And same thing with the road. Object, Apply all transforms. Right. So what I want to do here is I'm going to go Control and Tab. You can also go into the top left to go into it, but I'm going to go into sculpt mode now. And I find this really handy just for moving things around. So from here, what I'm going to do is just going to scroll down. I want to go and find the grab tool, and you can hit F to enlarge it. And from here, what I'm going to do is I want to, and of course you can play around with the strength and all of that, is I want to kind of push and pull some of this around just so it looks a little bit more organic. So you can raise this up now. You don't want to go too far with this. It's just really in moderation, but you can see there, I quite like this slope going on. This is what we had in the original intro, but also I want to just bring some of these up as well. So I want this to kind of start getting absorbed. So you've got this kind of like porch area. So you've got the door, you've got this kind of porch, and this thing of like the road pathway, call it what you will, is kind of merging into it, just so it kind of masks it all, something like that. And of course, you can still have it, you can have a bit more of a play around with it, finesse it a little bit more, but I think that's generally looking okay as it is. All right. So it's going to move around. And again, you can sort of, if it's looking a little bit flat, you can see there, you can just kind of move little bits up, little bits down, but I wouldn't go too far with it. You don't want kind of hills. I think it's a pathway, assuming that it's going to be used by people. It's not going to be like massively undulating, but at the same time, it's not going to be entirely flat. All right. So I think that's pretty much covers that. I think we're in a good place now to start thinking about how we're going to cover these areas. So you can see here, there's some pretty nasty edges around here. And if you look on the side here as well, it's not particularly kind of great. And this is where we can use this texture along with low poly kind of models to kind of mask it in. This kind of works for like organic stuff. For perhaps more formalized things like brickwork, we can do a separate video on that where you need a bit more precision. But for something that's kind of decayed and organic, it kind of works quite nicely for this. Right, so let's create an object. So I'm going to go back into the just a standard shader view there. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back into the object mode. And I'm going to go Shift and A. I'm going to go and create a cube. And I want to make this cube fairly low poly. So let's make it something like, we could have a look at something, say, let's try 20. Let's try and subdivide it by 20. So I'm going to go subdivide, and let's make it something like 20. See what that looks like. It's probably a little bit too much. Let's try subdividing it by, say, 10. I think that's looking all right. Okay, so what we can do from here is we can sort of shape it a little bit. So if I hit the backslash key, just so we isolate that, and also if I go Shift Tab and go into, say, sculpt mode, what we can do here is holding down Shift can actually just smooth parts of this out. I want it looking more like a brick or a boulder. Something like this, like a rock or a boulder, not necessarily like a rock, but you know, something like rock-like, boulder-like. Something like that. Okay, I think that's going to be all right. All right, I'm going to go back into object mode. I'm going to go right-click, shade smooth. And nothing fancy. I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to press U, and we'll just go Smart UV Project and click on Wrap. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through to the material, and we're going to add the material from the wall. So if I just go and hit the / now, I bring that back. I'm going to go to this little box here, click on it, and it's material 3. Now at the moment it's obviously too large. I'm going to need to scale it down, but obviously I need to scale the texture down as well. So I'm going to go through to the UV editing. Now you may not actually see it, the image there. So we just need to add the image to the UV space. I'm going to go open and select 3PNG and go open image. And then from here, what we can do is we can scale it down. So if I hit S and bring this down. So I want it to basically have the bricks covering it. So if I just go scale again, scale it way down. Now this, you know, it doesn't look great as it is, but once we kind of scale it down, it's just going to act as a kind of filler for the tops, just to kind of mask. And again, you can make more of this if you like. I'm going to keep this pretty much as is. You can also add some more subdivisions if you want. It's entirely up to you. But let's go and have a look and see perhaps what that looks like. I might just move that over the bricks a little bit there. And I'm going to go back to the layout. And from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this down now. And I think that's generally looking all right. You can kind of move it around a little bit. I'm just thinking, like, will it sync with the sort of reddishness of the brick? I'm not entirely sure. So maybe I'll move it down. If we go and hit G, move it down to, say, around about there, perhaps. See what that looks like. It's getting pretty near as it goes. I might just have one more take on it and just see if I can get it to kind of match as much as possible. So let's go and hit L and L on there. We're going to select these here and just move that around just until you're kind of happy. I think maybe perhaps even where I had it before, I think that that might be the way forward. All right. So I've got that, and what you can do is you can kind of like squash and stretch it, and move it around as you want. I might just add, if we go down to the materials here, a little bit of metallic to it, just sort of darken it down a little bit, and not so much of the roughness. I think I'll leave that as it is. And then this is the part of the video I might sort of speed it up, because effectively what I'm going to do is this. I'll just do a little demo, then I'll speed the video up just so you can kind of see it, finished. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move it around and essentially kind of just block it in. So it's masking, it won't, stand great scrutiny, but if you're doing like, proof of concept stuff, even if it is for like a sort of game level, it still would be pretty good. I think, like I said before, when you've got this kind of organic look going on with the bricks, I think personally, I think it's fine. So Shift D, I'll just turn the, I think my screen keys are still on. And let's go and move Shift D. Maybe scale that down a little bit. I think my screen keys, are they on or off? I can't tell. There we go, they're back now. And what I'll do is I'll just maneuver this one here, and I'll perhaps move that down. And what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of blocking that in, so as if it's kind of part of the sort of decay. If I go through to the lit view now, you'll see there it matches in quite nicely, and so you're not getting any of these kind of nasty edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed this part of the video up and just fill in all the way along the wall and all the way along that wall, and then that should take us to the last part, which is just importing the character. Okay. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers it for the walls. And so now we're just going to go and import the character. So again, this is just a a cosmetic thing. I think it's a nice thing to do just to sort of see it as a sort of an environment and how it might work as as a game level or anything really, animation film, and just trying to kind of get an idea of the space as well. So let's just go and import our file. And I'm going to go through to FBX, and I think it's this one here. I'm going to import, and there we are. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring that down to, say, right about there. I think we need to scale this character down from the looks of it. So make sure also, whenever you're doing this, make sure you got the character and the armature selected. So let's just scale that down to roughly where we think it's going to be. So if this door, say, 7 to 8 feet high, and this character's 6 feet high, we're not far off, I don't think. Probably something around about there, perhaps. Something like that could do. Also, we're going to determine where the character's walking. So obviously I don't want it walking off the scene. So when you've got that done and you've got it all aligned, also, by the way, I just had to adjust some of the floor here because he was actually walking through. It's still not perfect, but I just had to adjust that a little bit. I did mention earlier on about not going too wild with, the bumps in the road, but you'll notice it's quite dark. So we can remedy that. We can just put like a light that follows him around. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to press pause on that. So if I now do two things, first of all, I'm going to go and create an empty. So I'm going to go Shift and A, and what we want is empty, just plain axis there. And I'm going to move this in the vicinity of his back, like so, something like this. I'm just going to scale this down as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this a child of the character. Really simple to do. All we need to do is go through to the constraints or object constraint properties and go add constraint, and we're going to make child of there. Target is going to be the character, and then with the bones, I'm going to choose spine 2. Now, it might shoot off somewhere. It has a tendency to do this. So what we'll find now is if I press play, the child follows it. Then all we need to do is create a light. So I'm going to go Shift A, and let's go and create a point light, like so. Don't want it too bright, but just sort of bright enough. I mean, it's on 10. That kind of looks okay. Can maybe bump it up to, say, something like 20 or 30. Also, you'll notice that it's a little bit, this is, again, just cosmetic. The characters are looking a little bit flat, a little bit chalky. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the roughness of that a little bit, maybe even a bit of the metallic as well. There we go. And with the light, all I'm going to do is click on the light, Shift and click on the child, and press Control and P, and click on Object. So now if I hit play, the light's following him. Pretty cool, huh? You might not want any shadows as well with the light. So I'm just going to go and turn off the shadow because it's just meant to be illuminating the character. If we want to have the front as well, all you need to do is Shift D, right click, bring that forward to say something like that. Because of course this will be parented as well. Say something like that, say. So now when the character's walking around, it's illuminated. If the actual symbols bother you, by the way, for those who know Blender, all you need to do is just turn off the extras, turn off the relationship lines, anything else that might be, origins might be another one, even floor, things like that if you want to. But if I just go and hit, click off that now and hit play. So it's kind of just walking through that little bit of rock there, but it doesn't really matter. And you can see there, it's still not perfect, but you get the idea. So that's it, folks. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe. Do get quite a few views on the videos that I do. And if you feel that this content really helps you, please do subscribe, please like, and also comment. And until next time, folks, I shall see you in the next video. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye for now.